Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Real Talk Bougie, guys. We are going to get into the Alexander brothers. They are facing federal charges. They're also facing charges down in Miami. It's the three brothers, maybe a cousin. It's a lot. If you put into your mind Diddy, the freak offs, trafficking, all of those things. You've got the Alexander brothers. They are from a real estate family. And from what we understand, this has been going on for a long time, and the feds have just caught up with them, and it's not looking good. Both brothers, the twins, were arrested. They are on the manhunt for Tal. And then I heard something today regarding one of the cousins. It's not looking good for for the Alexander family. So let's get into it. Let's watch this first appearance, and I will read you something. Well, let me read this to you guys first. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said, as alleged in the indictment, for more than a decade, the Alexander brothers alone together repeatedly, violently sexually assaulted and raped dozens of female victims. Today, the defendants are charged with multiple trafficking offenses. Our investigation is far from over. If you have been a victim of the alleged sexual violence perpetrated by Alon, Oren, or Tal Alexander, or if you know anything about their alleged crimes, we urge you to come forward. FBI, everything is involved. I have another. So we'll get into reading a couple of things and some documents in a future live. But right now, I just wanted to get into this appearance. We have Judge Mindy Glazer. Okay. Judge Mindy is giving Dr. Melfi vibes. If you guys remember Dr. Melfi from The Sopranos, she gives me Dr. Melfi vibes. Let me know if that's true. Think down below. Let's get into it. And the twins are being arraigned, and then they ended up going to court a following day. So we'll watch that one too. All right, let's go. Oops, let me start from the beginning. Here we go. This one is Alon, and they are twins. So
All right. This is your client? All right, this is Mr. Alon Alexander.
Right.
Is charged by, thank you.
Behalf of Alon Alexander.
All right, you're charged by an arrest warrant for an incident from December 31st of 2016. It says sexual battery by multiple.
Were you?
Pardon me?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. Also, your family's in court as well, just so you know. Okay. I need a moment to review the arrest affidavit. Give me a moment. Okay, so I'm reviewing this arrest affidavit, and I see it talks about the co-defendant. I'm looking for where it mentions his actions, and that's where I am. Sorry.
Oren Alexander, you mean, Judge?
Yeah, we're on. Isn't this Alon?
This is Alon.
Right. This is talks about the co-defendants.
Right.
Okay. What do you want to say?
Your Honor, the state has filed a motion for pretrial detention. It is a first-degree felony, sexual battery. I've also filed, just for the record, I've already filed an information and consolidated this into the F24-25503 as the B co-defendant. So just for the record. So I'm asking that they be held no bond and set tomorrow in division to set the pretrial detention hearing.
So, Mr. De Niro, what do you want to say?
Yes, sure. Well, Your Honor, by statute, they're permitted to file that motion, and so we have to roll it until tomorrow. I'm in the process of presenting a bond proposal to the state, and we're hopeful that that will be acceptable, and they'll be able to post bond by the end of the week.
Okay, so you have to go visit the division judge. I'm not sure who it is.
Lodi Jean.
I believe it's going to be Lodi.
Okay, Lodi too. Give me one moment, though. Okay. So, sir, I am entering a stay away order from the alleged victim. His initials are MW. No contact with this alleged victim, either directly, indirectly, in person, in writing, by telephone, or through third parties. You must stay at least 500 feet away from the alleged victim, her home and school and place of employment at all times, and no contact with her through emailing, texting, Facebook messaging, the Twitter or X platform or any other social media. Do you understand the stay away order, sir? I can't hear him, Ms. Corey. Can you please unmute him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. De Niro, anything you want to say?
That's it, Your Honor.
So the state filed a motion for pretrial detention pursuant to Florida statute 907.041. And because this charge, while it allegedly occurred back in 2016, is still considered a dangerous crime, even though it's filed today, I'm required to hold you with no bond. So you're going to have a hearing tomorrow before the division judge, and that judge will set a final hearing on the state's motion for pretrial detention unless there's an agreement between the parties. Okay? All right. So you have a good attorney. Listen to what he tells you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next is Oren Alexander. I believe we can handle that as well.
So that was Alon. The next one is Oren. Tal is still on the loose.
Good morning. I'll be back in 1 second. Now we have Oren Alexander. He has 2 cases here.
There should be 3 cases, Judge.
Okay. You have 3 cases, sir. I only have 2 of them here. Your state attorney's here. Do you want to announce for the record again?
Yes, Natalie Snyder on behalf of the state.
Your attorney's here with your parents.
Yes, Your Honor. Joel De Niro on behalf of Oren Alexander. I'm present here with Oren's family.
All right. Good morning. So I have 2 cases before me that I can address. We're going to have to get the 3rd case unless you want me to wait for everything. Probably better to wait for everything.
That's fine.
All right. Just have a seat, sir. I'm sorry about the delay. All right. So, sir, you have 3 cases. We'll start with F24-255. What is that? 03?
I mean, do you imagine? Look at the parents. The parents are like seniors. Do you imagine your grown ass children and you've got to run down to the damn courthouse and they've got turtle suits on and being charged on all of this nonsense? I mean, what a nightmare. And then your other son's on the loose. The twins just got arrested. Do you imagine the phone call? The twins just got arrested and the older brother's on the loose. And then you're running down to go to the arraignment. I mean, this is awful. This is a nightmare.
That's an arrest warrant where this incident allegedly occurred on December 31st of 2016. So the state attorney's here, your attorney's here. Do you have any legal argument you want to make on this case?
Your Honor, again, we filed the motion for pretrial detention in this case. He is the A co-defendant in the consolidated information that was filed yesterday. He's charged with a first-degree sexual battery. So we ask that he be held until tomorrow with Mr. Alon Alexander.
No objection, Your Honor. This time we'll be back tomorrow. And as I stated, we're making a bail proposal for the state, and hopefully the state will be amenable to that.
I have to look at the other cases and see. I don't know what the state's going to want to do on the other case. I need to review those. Renee, you have my comments? Thank you. Oh, okay. 1 second. I'm just reviewing this one. All right. So there's probable cause on this charge for the sexual battery with multiple perpetrators. I recognize that the judge who signed the warrant gave him a bond plus house arrest, but the state filed a motion for pretrial detention pending final hearing pursuant to Florida statute 907.041. And because it's considered a dangerous crime, I'm required to hold you with no bond. You'll see.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Don't talk about the facts, though. Your attorney's here.
Your Honor, my wife is 9 months pregnant, due any day now with our first child. Her family's in Brazil. She's counting on me to be with her during labor.
That's something, you have a very good attorney. You're gonna have a hearing tomorrow before the division judge, and that judge will consider any argument regarding a bond. Because the state filed this motion for pretrial detention, I'm required by law to grant it because this is considered a dangerous crime. Plus I have the other 2 cases I need to look at.
There's also a federal hold, Judge.
You also have does he have a federal hold as well?
Yes, he does, Your Honor. He has a hold for the FBI.
So it's no bond, probable cause. And I also have to read the stay away order. Sir, you are ordered to stay away from the alleged victim, whose initials are MW. No contact with that alleged victim, either directly, indirectly, in person, in writing, by telephone, or through third parties, no contact with the alleged victim through social media or other electronic means, and you must stay at least 500 feet away from the alleged victim or home and school and place of employment at all times. You understand the stay away order, sir?
I do.
All right, now the other two cases, F24 25507. This is another arrest warrant. This is an incident from October 26th of 2021. So these are all delayed arrests or delayed reporting. Go ahead, Ms. Snyder, what you want to say?
Your Honor, there is probable cause within the four corners of the A form for this sexual battery. Judge, I would emphasize that the defendants are even more of a flight risk than I think when the judge initially signed the warrants because of the federal cases, because of the federal indictment that was unsealed yesterday, I believe. So Judge, I asked for an elevated bond. I asked for you to at least double what was the judge put on, which I believe is $50,000. They also have a vast amount of resources, Your Honor, I believe. And I asked for house arrest and an ankle monitor.
Okay. Let me review this. Mr. Victor, I'm sure you have something to say.
Yeah, I mean, Judge, we would just ask for the standard bond. We're going to present something. Hopefully what we present is amenable. If it's not, Judge, we're going to have to litigate the F1. But I would just ask for the standard bond to apply.
Okay.
I believe it's an elevated bond as it stands, Your Honor.
It's a first degree felony. The suggested standard bond on a first degree felony is $15,000.
15.
That's what the suggested standard. I understand the judge who set this bond wrote 15,000 plus house arrest.
50, Judge, right?
50.
50. Just want to make sure.
She wrote 50, but the suggested bond is 15. You have somebody here with no priors, although 3 pending cases, and as you tell me, there's a federal case pending as well. On this case, I'll set a bond. How about $25,000 bond? No house arrest, but I want to surrender a passport and travel documents. This is
Judge, I do ask for an ankle monitor. I'm concerned with everything pending that they are a flight risk, Judge. That he is a flight risk.
Even if you have his passport?
Judge,
Yes.
his wife is about to give labor.
Okay.
He's about to have a child, Your Honor. He's lived in Miami his entire life. He has an incredibly strong contacts to the community. We don't believe he's a flight risk, but we would be happy to surrender his passport.
All right, I'm gonna add the house arrest as well. Actually, the judge didn't write, she wrote hold for first appearance judge. That's it. She didn't add house arrest. Judge, you signed the warrant?
But I didn't say she did, Judge. I said she set that $50,000 bond.
He's being held no bond on the other case. That judge can decide. If she wants to put it on another case, she can. So it's gonna be $25,000 bond, no house arrest, surrender of your passport and travel documents prior to posting bond.
And that's all passports, Judge. I don't know that if he has an Israeli.
Surrender of all passports or travel documents prior to posting bond.
And so the state's aware he has one passport, an American passport, and we'll be happy to surrender it.
Is he going to surrender it to you, or it has to be? Do you want it on the jail card?
I'm sorry?
Do you want that on the jail card?
Surrender of passports? Yes.
Corrections, make sure you put it on the jail card.
Your Honor.
Surrender to the clerk's office.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
my passport was at my residence. I'm not sure if when they came to my residence, they took it.
So can we
Don't put it,
take that as a condition, Your Honor? That would complicate things. They searched his home. If the passport's in the house, obviously we'll surrender it, but if it's not, then we're going to be back in front of you.
corrections.
This defendant has access to private planes, private boats. He is a flight risk.
Judge, he's here to face the charges. He's been here his entire life. But in any event, Your Honor, I'm going to be making a bail application to the state tomorrow. Hopefully it's satisfactory.
All right. You don't know if there's a passport the federal government may have taken it when they
If
searched
they,
his home?
Judge, if we can, we'll hopefully be able to get something that says that, but I don't know if the federal government took it, but we need to have it.
Okay, so leave it on the jail card, and if you find it's not in his possession, then the judge can always add house arrest instead of the passport. Okay? We're leaving it on the jail card.
What about this? What if we add we don't mind if you put house arrest.
Fine.
The bail application that I'm going to be making will include house arrest.
Fine, so it's plus house arrest. What level you want? 3?
Your Honor, I'd like to be able to go to the hospital if my wife gives labor.
That was level 3 house arrest. You have to wear an ankle monitor, and they monitor your whereabouts. And if you cut it off, they get a signal and alerted right away. And they'll. So corrections, no surrender of passport on the jail card, okay? I'm gonna make a condition, but not on the jail card.
Thank you.
Okay, Your
Honor. It will be given to attorney. And the attorney can notify the state once it's in your possession if it's available, okay? Plus house arrest, level 3 house arrest, just to make sure it's on a monitor. Stay away from the victim. I need to look at the other case. Oh, also stay away from did I read the stay away order in this case? No. Yes, this case, you are ordered to stay away from the alleged victim. What do we? M, whose initials are MM. No contact with this alleged victim, either directly, indirectly, in person, in writing, by telephone, or through third parties. No contact with the alleged victim through social media or other electronic means. And you must stay at least 500 feet away from the victim, her home, school, and place of employment at all times. I don't see that one. I see one for the paperwork for it, okay? Here, just got it. I don't see an MM. I see an MW, MG, and SM.
I believe on this one, it's NG.
It's M, the initials are MG, just to be clear. MG. Stay away from that alleged victim, MG. Now I have to review F24-25504. That's another case you have, sir. So it's another arrest warrant. So this is from sometime in 2017. It's another delayed.
2017, Judge, I believe there's a date there. But yes.
Okay, October 19th, 2017. Okay, I had a chance to review this one too. All right. There's probable cause for the charge. You're ordered to stay away from this alleged victim. His initials are SM. No contact with that alleged victim, either directly, indirectly, in person, in writing, by telephone, or through third parties. And stay at least 500 feet away from the victim, her home, school, and place of employment at all times. You understand, sir?
Understood.
Thank you. So in this case as well, I'm okay setting a bond of $25,000. That's a substantial bond.
Your Honor, the state,
That's
again,
house arrest, level 3 house arrest. And that's it. You'll have.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, for F24-25503 Alpha, that's gonna stay as a no bond, correct?
That's correct. That's no bond. He's going to see the division judge tomorrow. The other 2 cases, the $25,000 bond plus house arrest, level 3 house arrest, which is GPS roaming, surrender of his passport or travel documents to his attorney prior to posting the bond. I don't need that on the jail card. Anything else?
Nothing from the defense?
No curfew. Yes?
Nothing from my defense, no.
All right. Thank you, Mr. DeMille.
nothing else in the center.
Good day, sir.
Thank you.
New Laura
Okay, guys, that went really, really fast, but those are typically fast moving. Let's move on to the next thing. So that was the first arraignment, but then there's a second one. These guys are in trouble, to say the least. So we will read the indictment tomorrow. Let's finish this up right here. Okay, let's go to this bail hearing. This one's kind of quick. And then we will hear from Damian Williams, who will really kind of go in depth on what actually the federal government is alleging. Okay, just one second. This kind of goes quick. I'm just going to say I'm sure the parents have got to be mortified. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So notice one of them still has on their turtle suit. It's super loud. I don't know what's going on with these guys. They're weird. Anyway, it's the awkward smiles, all of that. But yeah, they're back in court, the district court judge. So I guess we're gonna hear what's gonna happen. I think. Yeah, this is gonna go pretty quick. So you can see the twins are talking. One's asking the other like, okay, why do you still have on the turtle suit? And he just kind of smiled like, I don't know. It's you can, they're twins, so they probably have their own little way of communicating. Look at the sheriffs. The sheriffs are huge. But the Alexander brothers are pretty tall themselves, huh? Oh my God.
In some, Mr. De Niro, it is a personal surety, but it is fully collateralized, right?
That's right.
As to the pretrial detention, my understanding is the parties have an agreement as to bond and also as to release.
Correct, Judge, we do. First of all, there are federal holds in place, so this only covers the state case, and the defendants after this will.
So you can see in the back right here behind the Mr. De Niro, the attorney for, I guess, the brothers both at this moment. The parents are sitting over there. I don't know. One of the guys said their wife was 9 months pregnant. I could only imagine what a nightmare. You're about to have a baby and your husband is arrested for sex trafficking. That is really awful.
Respond to the federal court to deal with those cases there. With the ankle monitor, yes.
So if the court has to ratify it, I will ratify it, and I am.
And those are the conditions, monetary conditions, Your Honor.
Right, but
I'm gonna make sure that it's written properly on the jail card, Your Honor. But it is $2 million personal surety in the event that my client willingly fails to appear, and the undertaking shall be secured by a $400,000 mortgage. I don't have anything else unless the board has any additional questions.
I'll see you on Monday. Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
What's up?
This was a really short hearing, but you heard them mention that they're putting up $2 million surety bond for these guys. They come from a very well-off real estate family. Anyway, let's go over and see what Damian Williams had to say regarding this matter and break down all of the federal charges, or just kind of give you the narrative surrounding what's really going on here, and we'll read the indictment later. We know Damian Williams. Damian Williams is the guy, the U.S. attorney who introduced us to everything with Diddy and is going back and forth. This guy is busy. He's very, very busy. Let's hear what he's got going on with the Alon Tall and Oren Alexander brothers. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, I'm announcing a 3-count indictment charging 3 brothers, Alon Alexander, Oren Alexander, and Tall Alexander, with sex trafficking offenses. As alleged in the indictment, the Alexander brothers agreed together to traffic, rape, and sexually assault over a decade, multiple women. Let me say more about the charged criminal activity. The indictment alleges that between at least 2010 and at least 2021, the Alexander brothers worked together and with others to repeatedly and violently drug, sexually assault, and rape dozens of female victims. The Alexander brothers reside primarily in New York and Miami. And as alleged, Oren and Tal Alexander were real estate agents who focus on ultra luxury markets. Alon Alexander, who was Oren's twin, was an executive of a private security firm owned and operated by his family. As alleged, the defendants used their wealth and positions to create and facilitate opportunities to sexually assault women. In particular, Oren and Tal Alexander allegedly used their prominent positions in the real estate industry to induce women to come to events and parties. At those parties, and sometimes afterwards, the women were sexually assaulted by one or more of the defendants. As alleged in the indictment, for years, the Alexander brothers, sometimes with others, also arranged domestic and international trips to carry out their sex trafficking scheme. To recruit and induce women to come on the trips, they provided material benefits, things like travel to vacation destinations, luxury accommodations, and access to other high-end experiences. As alleged, the Alexander brothers met their trafficking victims through a variety of means, in person, over social media, on dating apps, and through social connections. At times, they allegedly used their social connections or the guise of starting a relationship to lure women into their orbit. The indictment alleges that after meeting their victims, the Alexander brothers would invite the victims to a vacation property or location. The Alexander brothers and other men they planned the trips with paid for the flights or accommodations for the women on these trips. And at times, the defendants handpicked the women to invite. At other times, they used paid party promoters to source women for them. The indictment also alleges that in advance of these events, the Alexander brothers and others procured drugs that they agreed to provide to the women, including cocaine, mushrooms, and GHB. As we allege, these drugs caused some of the women to be physically unable to fight back or to escape. Then, as alleged, the Alexander brothers, sometimes acting alone, sometimes with each other, and sometimes with other men, forcibly raped and assaulted the women. As the indictment alleges, the Alexander brothers' sex trafficking agreement went beyond the planned trips and events. On numerous occasions, one or more of the defendants drugged and raped or sexually assaulted women they encountered by chance at bars, at nightclubs, social events, and dating apps. These assaults allegedly had many of the same hallmarks as the rapes that occurred at group events: isolated locations, drugged victims, force, and physical restraint. As of today, law enforcement has interviewed dozens of women who reported being forcibly raped or sexually assaulted by at least one of the Alexander brothers. This conduct, as alleged, was heinous. I stood here several months ago and made clear that this office is firmly committed to prosecuting individuals who exploit and abuse women. I meant what I said. With our law enforcement partners, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. And let me add this: we are not done. I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do so quickly. You can call 212-384-2700. You can also email at alexander-case@fbi.gov. I want to thank our partners at the FBI NYPD Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force here in New York and FBI Miami, who have worked extraordinarily hard to ensure that justice was done in this case. I'm proud to work alongside you. I also want to thank the Miami-Dade County State's Attorney's Office and the Miami Beach Police Department for their invaluable assistance and coordination on today's arrest. And I want to thank the outstanding career prosecutors from my office who are handling this case: Kaya Arroyo, Elizabeth Espinosa, and Andrew Jones, and their supervisors, Jackie Kelly and Jamie Bagliebter, the chiefs of the Civil Rights Unit in our criminal division. Now I'm going to turn the podium over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, James Dennehy.
Thank you, Damien. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Dennehy, Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI's New York office. The charges unsealed today for Tal, Oren, and Alon Alexander detail heinous crimes allegedly carried out by these individuals. The Alexander brothers allegedly conspired to prey on innocent women, coercing them into engaging in sexual acts. The defendants allegedly used their wealth and status to recruit and pay for the travel of their intended victims and then manipulated them into participating in sexual acts without their consent. The FBI's investigations into these types of cases are only possible because of the bravery victims show in coming forward. We are committed to doing everything in our power to advocate for victims. The FBI has dedicated professionals ready to support them. We will hold those who victimize them responsible for their actions. If you or someone you know is a victim in this case, the number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI or email us at alexander-case@fbi.gov. We will not allow this type of alleged behavior to go unimpeded. Predators forcefully coercing victims into sexual acts cannot and will not be tolerated. The FBI, along with our law enforcement partners, are committed to investigating sex trafficking and ensuring anyone attempting to engage in it is held accountable in the criminal justice system. I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, and the members of SDNY's Civil Rights Unit. I'd also like to thank the NYPD's Detective Bureau and its Specialty Enforcement Division and Special Victims Division, Human Trafficking Unit, and the FBI Miami Field Office. I'd also like to thank the Miami Beach Police Department, the Bal Harbor Police Department, and the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office Human Trafficking Task Force. And finally, I'd like to thank the dedicated investigators and personnel from the FBI NYPD Child Exploitation Human Trafficking Task Force. Thank you.
All right, I'll take some questions.
Alice, CBS.
You said dozens of victims. Can you be a little bit more specific in terms of number of victims?
I can't be more specific. There is more detail that's laid out in the detention letter that we have filed at this point. We have filed it, so it's publicly available. And we talk about, we've interviewed a lot of people, and that the conduct that we've been investigating goes all the way back to when these defendants were in high school. And so the number is quite significant in terms of victims. Next question.
Darla, ABC.
Good afternoon. Can you talk about when your office began this investigation, if it coincided with any civil lawsuit that was filed? So how long has your office been investigating it? And also explain the timing of today's arrest. Was there something in particular that precipitated this arrest today? Just if you can explain the timeline going back and why today.
Sure. So I can answer part of the question. So the detail as to whether or when we open the investigation is not in any public document, so I won't be able to speak to that. In terms of the timing, I mean, we go when we're ready. And we mentioned that there was an action in coordination with the Miami-Dade County State's Attorney. They have their own charging instrument as well. And so we were able to move together. So the charges were brought at the earliest opportunity that we could bring them. And that's why we're here today. Next question.
Fox News. Hi, Arthur Chen from Fox 5. You indicated that there were others involved. Are there other people that you're looking for? And will the brothers be coming here to New York because it's a Southern District case?
So they will be coming to New York. The mechanics for that are not worth getting into, but we will be able to get them into federal custody and up here to answer to these charges here in New York. In terms of other people that we're looking at, I can't get into who else is under investigation. I will just repeat what we said, not only in the indictment, but in my remarks, that they were not acting alone. I reference other people. And so we will continue investigating as long and as hard as it takes to get to the bottom of the full scope of the conduct that we have here. Next question.
Luke Cohen, Reuters.
Hi, thanks so much for doing this. You mentioned the office's firm commitment to rooting out sex trafficking. Has there been any sort of surge in resources to the Civil Rights Division, a change in emphasis internally? How have you acted on that commitment? How have you brought so many of these cases?
Well, I mean, it really is because of the extraordinary work of the career prosecutors to my left. That's number one. The Southern District has always been committed to bringing big, expansive, ambitious sex trafficking cases that send a message to predators and people who support them that conduct is heinous and has to absolutely stop. When I became U.S. Attorney, I did note that the responsibility for investigating sex trafficking was rather diffuse all across the office. And so we stood up a civil rights unit in the criminal division to not only address the spike in hate crimes and other types of offenses that I thought needed more focus, but also to centralize the handling of sex trafficking work. And so you recently saw the case against Sean Combs that we announced that was out of our civil rights unit, and now this one. And so, yes, there has been additional resources and time and attention, and they're bringing their expertise to bear along with our law enforcement partners who have long been committed to this work. But I'm very proud of everything that they're doing and expect that to continue in the future. Next question.
Molly Crane, Daily News.
Hi, Damien. Thank you for having us.
Of
Just a
course.
quick question. This is a superseding indictment. Can you shed some light on what preceded it, or is there something more there that we're not seeing?
There is something more there, but it's not worth seeing, I would say. But I know you're not going to take my word for it, but you have to take my word for it at this point. Okay, next question.
Hi. This is such an interesting case because, as you mentioned, it dates back over a decade, I believe. And with so many different women allegedly involved in this, I'm just wondering if you can speak to the seriousity of the charges and some of the complications or challenges that you might have in gathering evidence and testimony in a case like this.
Well, we always have complexity in these kinds of cases. They're very sensitive. People have already been victimized, and engaging with law enforcement is in and of itself requires a leap of faith, right? That accountability can be at the end of that process. Another reason why I'm so proud of the career prosecutors and agents who work on these kinds of cases is that they understand how to approach them appropriately, to be able to bring comfort to the victims, to build trust with victims, and understand that it's a very fraught process to have to explain some of the darkest moments of someone's life, yet again, in a law enforcement context. Another reason why it's important that I reiterate the call for people out there, if they have been victimized, if they know information about these three defendants, that they come forward and know that they're going to be in good hands speaking to us, and that we're absolutely going to do right by them. And so that is always a challenge. It's a challenge in this case, but as you can see from today's indictment, it's one that we are prepared to overcome.
And you mentioned you believe this behavior may have started in high school. Do you expect more victims to come forward?
That's the hope. And over time, just through our practice and seeing how these cases play out, more often than not, more people do come forward. It does take a tremendous bravery, as Jim said, for the victims to speak out, but when they do, other people tend to gather that bravery as well. Bravery can be very infectious, especially in this kind of context, and that's our hope in bringing this case right now. Next question.
Roger Stern.
Can you tell us what happened to these women after they were victimized? They were flown to locations. Were they just left on the street? Were they flown home? What happened to them?
Well, I would refer you to the detention memo that we filed. It has some details, including some very specific details about more than one victim and their experience, not only leading up to the incident that we allege, but also following the incident. And it's not worth me repeating right now, but these women were not cared for in any way at any point in the process. And yet another reason why I think it's important that we bring these kinds of actions to hold people who, after thorough investigation, we believe have committed these types of crimes.
Last question, Kara Scannell, CNN.
Thanks, Damien. I have two questions. The first one, this is multiple times that you've been at this podium talking about predatory, wealthy men abusing, raping, assaulting women or men. And I'm curious, how many more types of cases like this do you have in the pipeline?
I can't give you an exact number, of course, but what I can say is that We are unfortunately busy with sex trafficking investigations, trafficking of all forms, human trafficking, labor trafficking. It's an area that we are very active in and focused on. It's not just the powerful, though. Obviously, those kinds of cases get more attention than others. I think we have seen over time that this kind of conduct, no one is immune from it. There are victims of all sorts. And the ones that keep me up the most at night are the ones where the people who have been victimized don't think that they have the ability to hold the wrongdoers accountable because they are not famous or are well known. And so it really spans the gamut, I would say. And it's another reason why we're committed to this work, to make sure that someone is looking out for these people, and that people who are out there, whether they're rich and famous or not, know that on the other side of this conduct, if there are people like the FBI and the NYPD and the Southern District of New York Civil Rights Unit out there working it, there will be accountability. Even if it takes a little bit of time, there will be accountability. Thank you, everyone.
One last question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Are you guys involved in the investigation of Luigi Mangione?
I don't have any announcements to make right now on that matter. I know everyone is tracking it very carefully, but we don't have anything to add at this point. All right.
Okay, gosh, that was a great last question. So, ma'am asked Damian Williams, are they on the Luigi Mangione case? I wonder if that's going to be federal charges or is that going to stay, in the state? It was a hit that happened in New York City. I don't know that federal normally get involved in murders per se. And unless, I don't know, murder for hire type thing, but this isn't a murder for hire. This seems to be like a lone wolf type situation. I don't know, but that was a great question. So excellent press conference. I mean, you can really kind of feel like Damien's really into his work. Specifically, they felt like there was a need with sex trafficking, and they've been focusing on that to send a message. Um, gosh, those were some great questions. I really felt like that was a lot of information. So he said to refer to the detention document that gave a little bit more information. So I'm in the process of pulling that. I just pulled up the case, so I don't have it accessible right now. Actually looking up their cases in Miami and also the federal cases. So next time we meet, I will definitely have more information about the Alexander brothers. But just in case you hadn't heard of this case, I wanted to provide you guys some awareness, and we will be getting into that really soon. So like I said, next time we meet on this topic, I will have the documents for you guys. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, if you heard about this case, if you're wanting to hear more, make sure to hit the like button. If you're new here and you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel, set your notifications, give me a thumbs up. It is a free way to support this content and lets me know what you guys are liking and what you guys are loving. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful evening or day whenever you're watching this. Make sure to drop me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.